I note you said in response to the Liberal Party's defeat on May 21 that the Morrison government's rhetoric on China contributed to the party's defeat. Just amplify that for us.
Let me tell you a bit about the seat of Menzies that I've been elected to. Menzies is a seat where 20% of people identify as Chinese, and it's a diverse community. But speaking to them, conducting Chinese language phone canvassing phone calls, and on election day when the Chinese booth swung enormously, some as high as 16%, it was quite clear that they felt we weren't separating our disagreements with the Chinese regime with the Chinese people. And I think they said that that wasn't something we were making clear or making often enough.
But you made that point, as I understand it, prior to the election, did you not, with members of the cabinet? But one of the weaknesses is that they seem impervious to advice. Did someone tell you, when the then government criticised China, that they were referring to the government and not its citizens? I mean, that wasn't made clear. I've always said the Chinese community in Australia have made a tremendous contribution to our social and economic fabric. And would you agree? I mean, we must always separate the aggression of the Chinese leadership from the aspirations of the Chinese people. When you gave that advice to cabinet ministers prior to the election, did they take any notice of you?
It was to one, and they did, and they listened with intent to what I had to say, because they knew that I wasn't just saying this anecdotally. It was based on the feedback from thousands of phone calls. And they absolutely agreed, and I didn't mean that as criticism of them. The feedback was that our communication wasn't clear enough. And of course, Australia's... That's right. And that's what we needed to do a better job of. And that person took that on board. But it's hard to turn that ship around in the last few weeks of the election.
Absolutely. I noticed you've said that your focus as a Member of Parliament will be on economic and national security issues. What kind of issues would you want to prosecute?
Well, 2/3 of the seat of Menzies are first or second generation migrants like me. And migrants know that while there are things about Australia that are not perfect, compared to every other country on earth, this is one of the best places you can be. So there are things that I think are worth fighting for, and let me go through some of them, Alan. I think we need to preserve this as a nation where we reward hard work, intellect and courage, and that has to matter more than your identity, your postcode or your connections. And those are fragile things. I think we need to make sure that the government lives within its means again. More than ever, I don't want our second, third and fourth generations looking at the debt that we incurred in the last decade or more. We need to start turning that around. We need to defend democracy, free speech and the rule of law. And then finally, I think we need a foreign policy and a defence strategy that is forward-leaning and agile. And on that, I'm an Australian first, so I do wish the Albanese government the best success in foreign policy and defence, because we need them to be on top of their game.
Wonderful. Magnificent. See, my viewers, I told you, I'd stick this bloke on the front bench tomorrow.